Hey everyone, welcome back to the Living in Maryland channel where we discuss all things living here in the great state of Maryland. Today, we are doing a video of what it's like to live in Ellicott City, Maryland. So we're going to jump right into it. And one of the things I love absolutely most about living in Ellicott City is just how central of a location it is. I always tell people I feel like I'm 30 minutes from everything. Now that's a little bit of a stretch, right? So, as far as proximity to Baltimore, DC, and so much in between, from most parts of Ellicott City, you can be into the inner harbor of Baltimore within about 25 minutes, give or take with some traffic. DC is going to be further than 30 minutes. On average, it's going to be 45 to 50 minutes, give or take with traffic. But then so much you can get into a good chunk of Anne Arundel County, so much of the central Maryland area when it comes to all the government work, the contracting work. You can get into so many parts of Baltimore County, Montgomery County, PG County, and so I just feel like you're so close to everything if you really like and prefer to be kind of in the mix of everything. It's a really good spot for that. I just kind of feel like it's so central. Whereas if I feel like I'm up in Carroll County, or if I was further up in Baltimore County, it would stretch you so much further from so much of the other parts of Central Maryland. So something that I absolutely love and have always loved about being here in Ellicott City. All right, next is going to be Old Ellicott City, the historic part of Ellicott City, and this is just one of my favorite parts about the area here for a lot of reasons. I just love the 1800s architecture. I love the history of it, and I love, there's no chain restaurants down there, so you've just got a really cool kind of vibe and experience down there. So it's just a great area to get out, with the family or for date nights, whatever. It kind of fits a lot of different needs that people may have as far as entertainment and just kind of getting out. For me, I came from Southern California. A lot of that area out there is just kind of newly developed in the last 30 to 40 years. So kind of having that history, that architecture down there is just kind of a different feel from a lot of the newer parts of the country. So it's something that I really, personally appreciate and always enjoy getting down to. Feels like there's a lot of locals down there. So it just kind of feels very small town, even though it's, within Ellicott City, which you have probably about a 75,000 population. Here within Ellicott City, but it feels very small town. It feels like people know each other, and it just feels very intimate in a sense. So something that I've always loved about the area here. As always, just like to let people know I am a licensed realtor here in the great state of Maryland. If you ever have any real estate questions, if you are thinking about whether buying or selling a home here in the area is the right move and the right decision for you, we'd absolutely love to have a conversation to see how we can best assist. All right, next is I wanted to mention Columbia Association. I know we're not talking about Columbia here. Columbia is going to be the town just south of Ellicott City. It's going to be the largest town within Howard County, probably closer to 100,000 population now. But the reason why I wanted to mention this is because Columbia city tax does stretch into one section of Ellicott City. It's called Dorsey Hall. It's going to be the section of Ellicott City just above 108 if you're looking in a little more of the south west part of Ellicott City. So if you kind of look at Dorsey Hall, you'll be able to see this neighborhood. That is one of these sections of Columbia Association. So you're going to have that Columbia tax. It's a mandatory tax. It's tied to the assessed value of the property, and you're going to be subject to the Columbia Association rules and regulations. So I just want to let people know, about that, so you can be on the lookout for that and kind of be aware if that's something that you're okay with. Now, the Columbia Association has a lot of amazing things, right? So when you're in Dorsey Hall, you don't live in Columbia, but that Columbia Association does stretch into that section. So, but you're going to have the benefits of it. So you're going to have the trails. You're going to have access to the little playgrounds, tot lots, and stuff that they do. You're going to have the community center and more of the discounted rate to Columbia Association amenities. So there are benefits that come with that, but it also is a mandatory tax that you want to be aware of. And they act as an HOA, so they're going to have those rules and regulations, whereas some other communities, a lot of other communities within Ellicott City don't have HOAs at all. So just something to be aware of so that you can kind of be prepared for that. Townhomes in Dorsey Hall and in Columbia Association as a whole usually range from $1,000 to $1,300 a year for the Columbia tax. So that's going to be above and beyond what the standard and normal Howard County property taxes are. Your single family detached homes are going to range from $1,300 up to probably $1,800 to $1,900 a year, depending on the size of the home, because again, it is tied to the assessed value. So the larger the home, you're going to see that being on the upper range of that amount for the Columbia city tax. All right, next is going to be flooding in Ellicott City. I do get questions on this specific to Ellicott City, so I wanted to speak to it here briefly. Unfortunately, the old Ellicott City, historic part of Ellicott City, has had some severe flooding a couple times over the last several years, so it's something that people are aware of and that people ask questions about. Old Ellicott City is basically at the bottom, it's in a little valley there as you kind of head towards Baltimore County line at the train tracks down there. But it is pretty specific to that part. So I would say about 90+% of Ellicott City has no issue with flooding at all. But that's kind of the main area there. And there's a couple other little pockets within Ellicott City, but for the most part, flooding is not an issue within Ellicott City if you're looking at pretty standard and typical, subdivisions and residential properties. So just wanted to speak to that. Unfortunately, the historic part, it is at the bottom there of a hill. They've had issues with, potentially more recent development kind of pushing more water down there, and it has caused issues over the years. So something to be aware of. But again, if you are looking at more traditional residential property, 90+% of Ellicott City is not going to be in any type of flood zone. That is something that we can look at and within our system and just make sure of for any residential property, but something to be aware of when it comes to flooding within Ellicott City. All right, next is wanted to give you a rough idea of what cost of housing is looking like in Ellicott City here in 2024. Over the last several years, things have gone up, just like most of the country has experienced when it comes to housing prices. So when it comes to housing, what can you expect cost-wise? So I'm going to just give you a range of pricing based on square footage so you can kind of have an idea of what this looks like. So if we are looking at above grade square footage, and I like to mention that just because some homes may not have a basement, a lot do, but some may not have one. Some may not have a finished basement, so that can kind of be a variable and a question mark. So I'm going to speak to above grade, which is your main level, and on up. So if you are looking at a home between 1,000 square feet and 1,800 square feet, you can expect a price range somewhere of $550,000 to $700,000 when it comes to a home that size, and it's going to depend mainly on condition. So the more updates, the nicer the home is, you're probably going to want to expect it to be on the higher end of that range. If you were looking at a home from 1,800 square feet to 2,500 square feet, you're going to want to expect to be somewhere in the range of $650,000 to $825,000. And again, depending on condition, will determine where on that scale that property might fall on. And then above 2,500, above grade square feet, you want to expect somewhere, north of $825,000 is going to be, again, depending on condition, is going to depend on where you might be. But just to give you an idea of pricing based on square footage, so you can determine kind of where you might fall on depending on the size of home that you are looking for. That's going to be what things are looking like currently here as we head into the fourth quarter of 2024 when it comes to home prices in Ellicott City. All right, everyone, thank you so much for joining us here on this video today. We look forward to seeing you soon at the next video and hope you have an amazing day.